The information station, KRMS, Osage Beach.
The following program is part of the Lakefront Living Realty radio shows from the past few months.
Welcome to Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day it's Lake Day. I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage. We're changing lives one lake house at a time. Welcome back. I hope everyone is having a great start to the weekend. I always love when we can deliver on a promise, because today we have two of the area experts in their field to give us their knowledge and experience on vacation rentals. We have Russell Burdett, owner of Your Lake Vacations, and Chris Wagner, owner of Farmers Insurance. So stay tuned in this morning as we get a little further into the show so you can get the inside scoop. Due to what I believe the thriving economy, one, people having more money to invest, and of course, Lake of the Ozarks becoming more popular nationwide as a place to spend your family vacation in the summer and or summer months and or a long weekend year round, as well as the low interest rates that we've seen. Purchasing vacation rental property has become extremely popular over the past few years. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. It is an area that I get a lot of questions in the real estate market. So hopefully we'll get some of your questions answered to the listeners. I see this on the real estate side in a few different arenas. One of which buyers purchasing investment property strictly as investment. In some cases, a better return on investment than other options, so they're choosing to go that direction. Vacation rentals can bring in, at times, more net income annually than long-term rentals. Two, buyers purchasing a property to supplement the overhead and to be able to use for personal use as well. This is probably one of the most popular reasons that I do have buyers come to me looking for lake property so that they can vacation rent and supplement the property when they're not using it to help offset some of the overhead that comes along with owning lakefront property, but still get to enjoy it at time for their own friends and family. The third, buyers using a 1031 tax exchange for vacation rental property from a commercial property that they have sold elsewhere. I had not worked this type of purchase as much in previous years, but have worked several of these contracts this year alone. So always, of course, consult with your accountant, but more and more have been taking advantage of this tax advantage. So we're seeing that happen more. Vacation rental property comes in many different shapes, sizes, and price ranges. I'm sure, Russell, you can agree with that.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. From a one-bedroom condo, up to an 10,000 square foot estate home, it seems that there's really a place for everyone. We sell all aspects of lakefront and lake access property used for vacation rental at Lakefront Living Realty. There are a lot of questions and concerns from buyers, though, when it comes to putting their money into a vacation rental. And as always, we like to educate our buyers. So today, that's why we've asked a couple of these area experts to join us and bring listeners some answers to the most commonly asked questions that I get when dealing with buyers looking at a lakefront or lake access property that they intend to use primarily or even just supplement slightly for a vacation rental. Russell and Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us, man. We're excited to be here.
Yeah. Russell, we're going to start with you. So first, tell us a little bit about your company, Your Lake Vacation.
Well, our company has been around for 33 years, formerly under the name of Al Elam Property Management. And then when I purchased the property management company, we changed the name so there wouldn't be confusion with the real estate company. And I've been there 15 years now. I've owned it for the last 11. And a lot of the things that you're saying are absolutely true. Most of our successful owners are looking at supplementing their income, offsetting some of their costs, either for insurance, condo assessments, or things like that. And they're looking for a place to retire. They want to buy early so they get a good price. And then they rent it for a while, and then they end up using it full-time when they retire.
Awesome. That's exactly what we're seeing. So one question that we get often, and when I'm out showing property that I can't answer, I'm sure you'll know more history on, is how do you know what amount of rental a property has potential of bringing in?
So that's a great question, and it's something that we can answer because we have 15 years of rental history on every rental we've had for the past 15 years. We do in excess of 1,200 rentals per year, around 4,000 to 5,000 nights of rentals. And we manage all the way from the Camdenton area to the North Shore, Osage Beach, Lake Ozark, Horseshoe Bend. And so I've compiled all that information for the past 15 years. So if somebody is purchasing a property at a certain location, I can pull up the history on that location for that type of condo. Let's say it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo at the Knolls. I can pull up my history for the past. We've been there 11 years now, and see, on average, and I usually go back the last 3 or 4 years, and I can see how many nights the average 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo gets, and then we can multiply that by the price and get an estimate, not a guarantee, but an estimate of what that property should do in that location.
Do you feel like location really is key to the rental, or people will rent all over the lake no matter what location they're at?
Well, it depends. With our customers, 50% of all of our customers for my company come from Missouri, and 26% from Illinois, and then the rest are spread out throughout the rest of the United States. So if the people are coming from Illinois or St. Louis, they tend to want to stay on the east side of the lake. If they're coming from the Kansas City side, more from the west, Kansas, then they tend to want to stay on the west side of the lake. Not always, but as a general rule, that's the thing. So, while location, I'd say location is the biggest factor. You want waterfront. A second-tier property will rent for half as many nights as a waterfront property, with a few exceptions. But yeah, getting that good location, Osage Beach, Horseshoe Bend seem to be the two most popular areas year in, year out. But we also have some Camdenton properties that do very, very well.
Do you think that matters if it is a home or a condo for location, or about the same?
It's about the same, really. Yeah.
Okay.
On the home, it's going to depend more on the amenities. Condos are pretty cookie cutter as far as, they'll have an outdoor pool. They'll have a lot of the same amenities, But with homes, you might have the bigger homes rent better and you charge more per night. And if it has a hot tub and a sand beach and a pool table and a foosball table, then that's going to be a lot more attractive than one that doesn't.
Woohoo! Yeah.
We have one of those, so
okay.
It rents really well.
Do you all put your properties on VRBO, HomeAway, or Airbnb?
Yep. So we advertise we have 120 properties right now. We advertise all of them on VRBO, HomeAway, FlipKey, and TripAdvisor.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's one area I typically send, my buyers to research a little bit on their own to get an idea of how much those properties are renting nightly. Is that something that buyers can do, is to reach out to you as well prior to purchasing a property and get a little bit more information for their own knowledge of what property might be best for them? Exactly.
And I can educate them on the different things that they need to know as well. In addition to giving them the potential income possibilities, there are other things that a lot of them haven't even thought of. Like with Chris here, is that you need to let your insurance agent know that you're renting your home or condo out. You don't want that surprise later on if something happens and your insurance agent goes, "Oh, well, I didn't know you were renting that." So there's a lot of advice that we can give them on location, the type of property they should have, and then some of the things that they need to talk to their accountant, insurance agent, those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have an amazing inventory of property. That's why I appreciated you giving us your time today to be on the show. I've got a couple more questions for you coming up after the break. But, wow, yourlakevacation.com, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. I send people there all the time. I get calls a lot for people even just looking to come to the area. But that site really is the best, in my opinion, in our area, as well as for inventory and for you to really see what's out there. So Well, it's time to take a short break. We'll be right back to talk to Russell a little bit more. I've got a couple more questions for him. So stay tuned with us on Lakefront Living Radio on News Talk KRMS. And let me go ahead always and give you my contact information directly. You can find us on lakefrontliving.com anytime or reach me directly on my cell phone at 573-216-4350 or 833 Lakefront. That's 833 LKFRONT.
Hi, I'm Stacy O'Neill, Realtor and Lakefront Specialist with Lakefront Living Realty at Lake of the Ozarks. Call or email me directly to put my love for the lakefront lifestyle to work for you. You can find me at lakefrontliving.com. Call 573-745-0946 or email me directly at Stacy, STACEY, at lakefrontliving.com. Let me share with you how we differ from any other brokerage at the lake and how I can assist you to get your property sold.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich. You're listening to the best of Lakefront Living Realty radio shows.
Welcome back to Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. Thanks for joining us. We're back with Russell Burdett, owner of Your Lake Vacation. We had finished up at the break talking about different properties and different property potentials, locations. Another question that I get often is, what type of property rents the most?
Okay, and that's a loaded question.
Exactly.
There are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom condos, 5 bedroom condos, up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bedroom homes. So somebody who's looking for an investment type property, really the bigger the property, even though it's going to be more expensive, produces a lot more income. 1 bedroom condo that rents really, really well might see about $10,000 to $12,000 in gross income in a year. But a 5, 6, 7 bedroom home, you could see anywhere from $30,000 to $90,000 in income. So those are the ones that, if you're looking at an investment for those purposes, those tend to do a little better on your return, I think.
Okay. Are there certain areas around the lake, and we work with this as real estate agents as well, and try to keep savvy of that, obviously, whenever we're taking our buyers out looking if that is, in fact, their intention to rent it, but areas that do not allow rentals? There
are areas that do not allow rentals, and I think one of the questions that realtors should ask their client from the get-go is that if you're possibly in the future thinking about renting this property out, then you need to know that before you purchase. I've had clients that have called me and they've owned it for 3 or 4 years, and now they've said, you know what, hey, we're not using it as much as we used to, so we're thinking about renting it out. And I'm like, great, where's it at? And then when they tell me, I'm like, well, they don't allow nightly rentals, so that's not an option. Like, oh, well, nobody told us that. But they didn't tell their realtor that that might be a possibility down the road. Mm-hmm. The other one is that sometimes people don't even think about, they think it's a vacation area. So there's no need to even bring that up. We figure everything can rent here, but there are certain subdivisions that have bylaws and regulations that do not allow nightly rentals. Within the city limits of Lake Ozark, they do not allow nightly rentals, with a few exceptions where there's some multi-use areas. In Four Seasons, there's a few areas. Portachima won a case a few years back, which they now allow nightly rentals. So you really have to look at it area by area, but that is probably the biggest question. The first one you should answer is, does this condo complex or does this subdivision allow nightly rentals? Yeah, I think that's a good point. Every agent needs to be asking that, whether they're, buying it today for that purpose or not. We're seeing more and more people, leaning the direction then saying that they don't want nightly rentals at their condo complex or location. But on the flip side of that, a lot of my clients, after 3 to 5 years, they decide to move up to a home or, change locations, do a different property, or like you said, they're just not using it as much. Life changes. And instead of selling the property, they go ahead and decide to
then turn it into an investment and keep it as a rental property. So I think that's a great point that we need to have that conversation up front.
Well, and we see that a lot where they've said, we need a bigger property for our family, but we don't really want to get rid of the condo. Mm-hmm. So they'll go ahead and continue to use the condo for a while. Or sometimes we have some that have a home that rents so well, they're like, we're going to buy a little 2-bedroom condo so that we can use that and not impact our rentals. So we've seen that a couple of times as well.
Yep. Can you give me an idea of what all services you provide or the property management company provides?
Well, it's different based on the needs of the customer. So I have one owner that lives in Hawaii, and I have one that lives in Australia. And then we have a lot of them are from Missouri, Illinois, surrounding states. The owner that lives in Australia, I take care of everything except for his mortgage. He owns a home, a waterfront home. We take care of his lawn. We take care of all of his repairs. We pay all of his bills except for his mortgage. And so from that aspect, we're a full service company that can do as much as you want. I have some owners that live in Jeff City. They like to take care of their own lawn, do their own small repairs and things like that. So we can provide those services depending upon your needs.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. I didn't even realize that you took care of all of that almost.
We don't normally, but
yeah,
the guy from Australia, it's a little hard for him to get here on a regular basis to mow his lawn.
Yeah, that would be challenging. But that helps them have the peace of mind that there is, one person managing their property while they're away from it. So do you charge then on an a la carte type of basis, or are there package deals put together for that?
In his case, he has a cool accent, so I don't charge him extra. And that's the truth. So, no, he's a nice guy, and we're glad to help him take care of his property.
Okay.
So.
How do you set up your packages or structure your fees for the different types of property management or levels of property management?
Right. So basically, we provide all the towels and linens. We do all the advertising. Take care of a lot of the little things. We don't upcharge for maintenance. So if there's a maintenance charge, we don't make money off that. We coordinate the housekeeping, supply the housekeeping. So we take care of all those services. So really an owner can just turn the property over to us, and they can use it whenever they want to. And then we take care of the rest type of thing. So we charge 35% for our services. There are companies out there that charge less and some that charge more. But it's one of those things, just like with anybody else. See what services you're getting for the price, because I had one lady that said, well, this other company only charges 20%. I said, and? She goes, well, yeah, they make me pay for my advertising. I have to supply the towels and linens. If there's something wrong, I have to call the maintenance guy, type of thing. I said, okay, but we do all that for you. So is that worth another 10% to you or not? So you just got to see what services you're getting and again, what level of expertise they have.
Perfect. Do you all field then or research those renters in any?
Yeah, so we screen all of our renters. Of course, anybody can lie to you, but we have very low incidence of damage and things like that. You're always going to get little things, but we, if we don't think they're of age, they have to be at least 25 years old, then we ask for an ID, and we've turned down rentals when the ID comes in at 21, So we want to give our owners peace of mind that we're going to take care of their properties. It's their investment, it's their property, and if we're losing owners, then we're not making money either, We've grown. Last year we had 100 properties, this year 120, so we've grown 20% just in the last year.
Awesome. Yeah, that is one of the biggest concerns, that I hear all the time is the buyer's concern. How am I going to really get a hold on who's staying at my house while I'm away and what kind of damage is going to be done?
And that's one of the things, if they're renting on their own, which a lot of people do, and that's fine, but it's, do they know the right questions to ask? So if somebody says, I want to be in a condo next to Party Cove, then I send those to my competition. We don't even take those rentals, because I know the history of what happens there, or bachelor parties, bachelorette parties. I realize people like to have those, but we just don't want those in our homes because traditionally, you get a lot of damage with those. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there are many, many stories out there that you could give us an example of. But try to, if you wouldn't mind, share a quick story with us on why it is best for owners to hire a professional management service.
Well, I think if they live farther away, for instance, my owner in Australia, he can't inspect the property, he can't check the cleaning, he can't check any of those things. And so unless you live here locally or have somebody that you can really, really trust, because even if you're handling the rentals yourself, somebody still has to clean the property. We inspect every property before the guest goes in. because sometimes the cleaners miss things. We're human beings, So we like to check the cleaning and overlook, for damage and stuff like that. So we have 2 sets of eyes on our property each time, and that's just really difficult for somebody to do that's out of town, and they've got to find somebody they can really, really trust to be able to handle that service for them.
I'm sure you've had several people come to you with their own stories of.
Yeah, we get a lot of people that have tried it on their own and said, you know what, we did it for a year and never again,
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Well, there are those options, but Russell, I really thank you for being here today and taking your time. We'll have you stay on the line with us, stay on the horn with us, or right here in the studio, so we can answer a few more questions throughout the show if you don't mind. But sure. I encourage all the listeners, if you have not been to yourlakevacation.com, check that out. If you've got friends or family coming to the lake to stay for the weekend, long weekend, for a few weeks out of the summer, they have the best, really inventory, I think, of rentals out there, and nice inventory as well. We see that a lot.
And that's what we've tried to do the last few years is we've grown as we can be a little more picky on the properties that we take. So if they're not up to our standards, then we either ask them to get them up to our standards before they go on the program, or we just don't take them at all. So.
That's a good question, too. A point I was going to make is do you help them get their property ready?
Yes, we have a professional interior decorator on staff, and so we can provide those. We can do the decorating for you, or we can give you suggestions, and you can handle it. So
perfect. I felt like all of your properties that we look through are to a higher standard anyway, and most what renters are looking for, and that's what my buyers are looking for as well, to have a nice property that people want to come back to and stay at year after year.
And the nicer the property, the better the people take care of it.
Right.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, here we are, break time again. So we'll take a short break and be right back. We're going to talk to Chris Wagner of Farmers Insurance, get a little bit more detail on what it is that you need to take into consideration when insuring a property that you will be vacation renting. So stay with us on Lakefront Living Radio Show. And remember, you can always find us at lakefrontliving.com. And now on News Talk KRMS, 1150 AM, 97.5 FM, and 103.3 FM. And now on HD3 at 93.5. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich. And now, back to the best of Lakefront Living Realty radio shows.
Welcome to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. Thanks for staying tuned with us. If you've missed the first part, we've had some exciting conversation regarding vacation rentals and buying property at Lake of the Ozarks to use for vacation rentals. So thank you, Russell, with Your Lake Vacation. We're now going to talk to Chris Wagner of Farmers Insurance. Get some information from him. Chris, how you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Hey, thanks for having us on the show. This is exciting. It's really great to see you putting your perspective and Russell putting his perspective, because I think there's a lot of information that people just don't know about it if they're going to go into this type of property, or just lake property in general. So I'm really glad to be here.
Thanks. I think the biggest mistake any buyer makes in real estate, especially buying a second home or vacation home, is just not getting educated first before they purchase, or likewise on the selling side. So we're just excited to bring the listeners a new perspective and hopefully get the questions answered that they're looking for. We're always taking questions. So if anybody does have questions as a listener, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can always find us at lakefrontliving.com, or as I've said on the past show, reach me directly on my cell phone, 573-216-4350, and ask me those questions. We're happy to use those as a show, bring on the experts, and really get the questions answered that the buyers and sellers of the community have. But now we're just going to talk to Chris a little bit further on vacation rental insurance policies. People, that's one thing they do not think about. A lot of people will obviously contact their accountant because they're going to want to know their tax ramifications, but they totally forget about insurance.
They do, and it can also affect your loan sometimes too, depending on how the bank wants to do it. Some loans aren't specifically designed for a vacation rental property. I guess just a little background. I've been an agent for 10 years with Farmers Insurance here at Lake of the Ozarks. We've seen a lot in and out. We've designed a lot of programs that have to do with just Lake of the Ozarks with secondary homes and vacation rental condos and homes. So we've been a big part of making those products bigger and better as the lake grows every year. In the 10 years I've been an agent, it's been pretty incredible. We're lucky enough to live in a secondary market like this, so I'm actually licensed in 27 states, which is pretty rare for an insurance agency. But when you're dealing with people that don't live here full time and they live in a lot of the surrounding states, I mean, we've got customers, just like you're probably selling properties from people from all the way from California to the East Coast to Florida to Texas. They come from all over and they buy properties. So to have those other licenses to be able to help them is pretty cool. But I love this topic because I'm actually did the exact same thing that I'm not supposed to do, which is before I moved here, I actually had 2 condos that I rented out on our own. And I'll tell you some of those stories later on. But it was actually a really eye-opening experience of why you should have the right property manager and, what insurance looks like and stuff. But when we're talking to a customer about a vacation rental home or just a lake home in general or a condo, the first thing is, what are you doing with it? Like, what is it used for? Is it a primary home? Is it your secondary home? Is it a full-time rental? Or is it a vacation rental? And all those things can make a difference on how we write the policy, right? And what kind of discounts you can get and what kind of exposure you're going to be exposed to and the way you need to protect yourself. Obviously, if you're moving here full-time, it's pretty simple. It's a primary home. You may bundle your home and auto and stuff. A lot of the things you want to look for there is making sure you have the right, collapse of weight of ice and snow on your dock and making sure your dock's covered. A lot of companies don't cover them or they have an endorsement. Secondary home, maybe you live somewhere else, but it's just your secondary home, but you're still going to use it. You're not going to rent it out. And then I think the big differential between a full-time and a vacation rental is the time frame. So if you're a full-time rental, it's usually a 12-month or 12-month lease or more, right? And a vacation rental is deemed as less than 12 months. And it's usually going to be a 2 to 3 night rental. It's going to be pretty hard to find companies that want to insure a nightly rental, like one night. And I know Russell doesn't, I don't believe you.
Yeah, we don't do one-night rentals.
So 2 to 3 night minimum, usually, which is pretty standard in the industry. And one of the other things, the reason that's so important is obviously you have the risk is completely inherently different. You have people that know the property, that are there full time, or it's your house and you're taking care of it, or you have transient people that don't know the property. Not saying they're not going to take care of it as Russell's vetting them, but it's still a risk that needs to be adjusted in the insurance policy, right? So with that, your liability is a huge one that can go up. So if we're keeping track of what we need to make sure we're covered in a vacation rental, making sure you have the correct liability coverage, where a normal homeowners, you may feel like, you don't have people coming over all the time, but a vacation rental, you're going to want that $1 million or possibly even an umbrella. And if, it doesn't matter who you're talking to as your insurance agent. If this is something you're considering, you really need to talk to your agent about an umbrella, which is an additional amount of money that sits over top of everything you own. It can be the rental property, it can be your primary house, it can be your boat, it can be everything. But you want to have that cap. There's so many risks that happen at Lake of the Ozarks. You want to make sure that you're covered for your assets. Because a lot of people don't understand the state of Missouri, if you're found guilty in a judgment, they can come after all your cars but one. They can, make you sell your house in a judgment. They can garnish 25% of future wages. All your liquid assets are, can be taken. So there's a lot of things you can work your whole life for and have one accident and somebody could come after you for all your stuff. So you want to really make sure that you're doing everything you can on the liability side to make sure that you're covered for that specific risk. But it is interesting. I think when I came down here, I had 2 vacation rental condos, and we lived in Illinois, which is fairly far away. So like 7 hours, right? So that's far enough that I can't be here to take care of it. And we did we did VRBO and all that stuff. And, they just obviously came in and we didn't know who we were getting. And a couple times we had the door kicked in, we had to replace the door. And then, one time my wife and I had moved here. So we were living in one of them and we were still renting out the other one. We thought they were good people, and then in the middle of the night, there's a huge party going on, at that condo. So it is really, really important that you have a proper property manager. The difference that you're going to make on the amount of flux of income with the amount of potential renters that Russell can put on for your rental is way higher than what you can do on your own, and you just can't take care of it on your own. But
on an insurance standpoint, from that aspect. Does the policy look different if your customer is renting it out on their own, or if they're working with the management company, as Russell may answer, then does the management company also take on some of that liability, or is that still separate for the homeowner?
So for the policy itself, it doesn't really matter. We want to make sure we know about that so that we can include that. Maybe as some management companies want to be included as a additional insured or whatever. But I mean, obviously Russell has his own insurance for the rental or for the management company. But it is something you want to make sure that you're aware of so that we know. I mean, price wise, does it make a difference? No. It's just we want to make sure that we know about that so it can be accounted for. But it's not something that's going to affect your premium either way. But one thing as we've moved forward with a lot of this vacation rental stuff is there wasn't a lot of stuff out there for vacation rental insurance to begin with. There really wasn't 10 years ago. And a lot of companies wouldn't even do a secondary home without having the primary. So we've gone away from that. We can do the secondary home by itself. And the vacation rental product, we've really done a good job. Farmers has of designing that specifically for areas like this. We worked a lot with Colorado agents because they have that same scenario. They've got a lot of vacation rentals in Colorado. And, we've launched a revamped vacation rental condo product a couple years ago that's really been taken off. And it just has a lot of specific coverages in it. One of the other big ones you want to make sure, the reason that you want a different type of policy is that loss of income coverage. Because your regular homeowners or regular condo policy is not going to have, that loss of income. So if you have we've had I can't remember if it was a water leak, if somebody hit a sprinkler head and it flooded all these units, well, we're able to come in and, give our insured the loss of income for the amount of time they're going to be out. I mean, these are peak months. They're making money, right? So we want to make sure that they're not losing that income that they would have had when the time is down for them to rip out the carpet and the cabinets and whatever needs to be fixed and replaced.
And we had one of those recently with one of our condos where they missed the June, July rentals because there was a water damage, and it took them 2 or 3 months to get it all fixed and ready to go. So it's really important. So I know there's other types of water loss that we can talk about maybe when we come back from the break or whatever coming up here, but yeah, there's definitely a huge difference in how it's set up, and you definitely do not want to be caught off guard because that does happen where people, all of a sudden they say, like Russell was talking about in his area, they decide they want to rent it out. Well, if you don't tell your insurance agent and something happens, too bad, right? Like in the policy language, it's going to say, vacation rental is not allowed usually in the policy jacket, and there's nothing anybody can do at that point. So it's not something you want to get in a situation where you can't have that and you've lost a big part of your asset that you purchased. You know what I mean? Because it just didn't happen. So we try to very much get that out up front as we should. What are you doing with the property? How are you going to use it? Is it something you may do in the future? And if that's the case, we may propose both things to them. Show them what it would look like if you're just going to buy the property, or what it's going to look like if you do rent it out, and show them those differences and what they look like.
Yeah, because that would cover your damages. Otherwise you're just covering your damages of the remodel, not necessarily that income that's coming in. So that's a good point, and something I hadn't thought about myself either. You lose those peak months, and that's a big,
lot of money. Yeah.
Big deal.
You don't get them back.
You don't get them back.
Yeah, big deal to the final number at the end of the year. So. Well, break time up again, so we will be back to talk further with Chris Wagner and Farmers Insurance on renting your vacation rental property at Lake of the Ozarks. So stay tuned with us here at Lakefront Living Radio Show on News Talk KRMS, and know that you can always find us at lakefrontliving.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich. Thank you for listening to the best of Lakefront Living Realty radio show.
Welcome back to Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. Welcome back, Chris and Russell. Hey. We kind of left off before the break talking about vacation rental insurance and homeowners insurance, and you kind of spoke about some incidences and stories and umbrella policies. What kind of average cost, and I know it's probably associated more so with the property itself, obviously, again, another loaded question, but this is one that I get asked, what kind of average costs are they going to incur on top of their regular homeowner's insurance?
Right. So again, like Russell said, loaded question because there's a lot of variables fire protection, ISO class rating, what is their fire protection code? Where exactly is the property? You yourself, what is your claims history? What is your insurance history? Everybody has what I call an insurance score. It's not a credit score. It's an insurance score. And I'm different from my wife. Most people are different from, even if they've been married for 30 years, they can have a price difference there. But Russell had alluded to this when he was talking about his services and what he offers, and he may get some price differential. And if we're just talking about the straight, let's take everything equal for a second, and it's a condo, same thing, and we're just talking about going from a primary condo to like a vacation rental condo. A lot of times those are actually pretty similar, maybe like a 10% more based on, the risk and, the rental risk instead of just a primary. So it's not terrible, but those are a lot of variables. But inherently when we get quotes and we talk to people, there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, especially with condos on how much you're actually supposed to have. And the Missouri Condominium Act that talks about, whether the associations can have them set up two ways, right? Whether either they cover some of the unit owners' coverage or they don't. And we kind of take the stance of, well, we want to make sure we protect you either way. You know what I mean? So if there's an incident, we can take care of you no matter what happens. But, we've ran into that. So when we talk about the prices itself and you're getting competitive quotes from people, make sure you're actually talking to the agent about what is in there. I ran a quote for a guy and we put, the right amount of building property for the condo. And then you've got things like sewer and drain, limited water leakage, equipment breakdown, service line, earthquake, right? There's all these different endorsements that you have within a policy. And so we actually sat down with the person and went through all these, and they come back to me and said, hey, I got this quote, and it was like, $300 or $400 cheaper. And I pulled it up, and not only was it like half of the building coverage, I think we had $150,000 on the condo. They had like $40,000 on the coverage for the condo itself, but they also didn't have all these other things that the customer had wanted in the quote. So it's very confusing to people if you're not really sitting down and actually educating yourself or sitting down with someone that can help you understand how that policy works. And you could be left again with a lot of gaps in your coverage because, $40,000 on a 2,000 square foot or 1,500 square foot condo is not going to be enough to rebuild your unit if it's from the stud in or from the walls in, depending on how they designate it in the bylaws. So it's
for the association that covers, right? Mm-hmm.
So it's something you really need to be careful of what are you actually getting for that premium. But, if we're just, like I said before, if we're just taking a straight, all things being equal, and we're just talking about, a secondary home or a primary home versus, a vacation rental, it's not terrible. It's really not. The amount of extra premium you're going to pay for that risk is you're going to make it back up in the rental income tenfold. So it's really not a big deal.
One of the things you brought up in our symposium that we had last October was that they might have enough coverage for their condo, but if their condo ends up burning down all four units in the building, their $500,000 might cover theirs, but it doesn't cover the other $1.5 million with the other ones.
So the basic condo policy is usually offered. Now the one we designed with the vacation rental, we can actually do up to $2 million on it alone, but most condo products only offer up to about $500,000. So that's, if your unit is the building property that you have. So let's say you have $150,000 on your unit, but the liability is if you burn into the one next to you or burn the whole building down, that's all you're going to have is that $500,000. And I really suggest people that have condos, they definitely have an umbrella or something on top of that, an extra $1 million or $2 million to cover that building that they're in case something were to happen and they were liable for burning it down.
Yeah, right.
So it's a big coverage gap that a lot of people, when we bring that to their attention, they're like, oh, wow, I never even realize that was a issue. So a lot of things to discuss in an insurance policy. It's not as simple as people think of. I'm just going to here's the address, here's my birthday. How much it's going to cost. So,
does it matter how much somebody's going to rent it? Like if they do come to you and say this is a full investment, we're not going to use it at all. We're going to rent it as many nights as possible throughout the year, or we're just going to rent it a few weeks out of the year so we can supplement and pay off, some of our overhead.
Yeah, that's a good question. We get that a lot too. Actually, no, those are the same type of policies. Okay. So those two scenarios, you're both going to be a vacation rental product because again, it's on the 12-month deal. If you had a full-time person renting it every month for the year, that's a full-time rental. But if you're renting it out at all, even if you use it yourself, that's what I did when I owned my condo that I came down to.
That's they want to offset that and then use it when they want to.
We blocked our own dates and said, hey, we're using it on this weekend or that weekend, and we rented it out or tried to the rest of the time. So that's a great way for people that because we were 7 hours away, we weren't an hour away, so it was we were only going to get down here 2 to 3 times a year. But yeah, it's the same. I mean, if you're renting it out, depending on how you have it set up, you may have an LLC, or you may be, you're probably taking it off on your taxes, that deduction. So all those things are, we want to make sure you have a vacation rental property in both of those scenarios. So the coverage is going to look very similar, but still, it's still a great way to offset that that expense is, renting it out when you can and using it when you can. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Chris, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Farmers Insurance. Tell our listeners how they can best reach you.
Sure. Yeah. So 573, super easy phone number, 573-302-0001. And then if you just search Farmers Insurance Lake of the Ozarks, you're going to find me. So you can't miss it.
Perfect. Well, I also want to talk about each week. Of course, I'm going to bring you one hot listing. So this week, sticking with our topic of vacation rentals, I have one of the best units that I've actually had the pleasure to sell in Monarch Cove. Monarch Cove is located at the 2-mile marker and off of Duckhead Road on Horseshoe Bend. So literally only minutes from Bagnell Dam Strip. You're in the heart of it all. This 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo with elevator to the front door, or only one flight from the parking or one flight to the dock, is completely move-in ready. The seller redid this unit for themselves, and honestly, they didn't miss any detail. The condo has high-end finishes throughout with a warm and inviting feel the moment that you walk through. And they've got a nice little lake flare through the condo, too. So it's got the best of both vibes. Perfectly appointed furnishings that do stay with the condo, along with a 12 by 32 boat slip in one of the cove-protected docks. So everything down to the HVAC has been replaced in this unit. Literally, bring your toothbrush and your swimsuit because it's all staying. Monarch Cove is well manicured with a green space and pet stations. It has 3 lakefront pools and 2 hot tubs. One of my favorite details is the lakefront boardwalk that goes around the entire complex. Not only is it a gorgeous walk at night, but it makes a functional way to get to all of the pools and docks without steps. So this unit actually has not been rented at Monarch Cove, but I believe that Monarch Cove is one of the most popular destinations due to new construction, elevators, and location. Again, this unit is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath coming turnkey with a 12 by 32 boat slip. The list price is only $219,900. Russell, do you have any information offhand on Monarch Cove, maybe what a 3-bedroom would bring nightly?
It has been a good rental location for us in the past. One of the key things there is elevator, so every unit there is a walk-in, which is great because of that. And then the boat slip, 40% of our guests between Memorial Day and Labor Day bring a boat or rent one while they're here. So if you don't have a boat slip available, which is a huge thing, then you're missing out on 40% of the people looking at condos here at the Lake of the Ozarks. So yes, that'd be a good rental. 3-bedroom, that nice, would rent for about $295 a night with the boat slip per night.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, as always, you can find these listings on our Instagram, on YouTube, or on Facebook to find full video and pictures of the Monarch Cove listing at lakefrontliving.com. We always talk about selling the lake lifestyle at Lakefront Living, and that's really about memories. I can't tell you how many awesome stories I have from clients telling me their family traditions. A certain meal on the dock, a sunset cruise, first one to jump in the lake for the season, all that fun stuff. So whether it's them as children or they've gone on for generations and generations, I thought more about that this week. My family and I took a day off to have our last family boat day before school starts. And as we crossed under a couple bridges, we live in a state park, so that's about every day in the boating season we pass under the bridge. But my kids raise their arms up and yell, woohoo! It almost brought a tear to my eye thinking about Lakefront Living because I realized that I had taught my children that tradition. And as a kid, my family and I always raised our hands at that time, really trying to touch the low side of the Grand Glaze Bridge. Of course, none of us ever could, but that was our tradition. So don't let your family's traditions die. If you don't have one, it's time to make them and make memories that come along with them. So you can't always wait for the perfect time. Life is short, so go ahead and buy that lake house. I appreciate you all being here for the Lakefront Living Realty Show. You can always find us at lakefrontliving.com.
Tell a friend to join you next week and listen in to the Lakefront Living Realty Radio Show. Visit their website for more information, including current listings and agent contacts. www.lakefrontliving.com. That's lakefrontliving.com. Or call the office at 833-LK-FRONT. That's 833-7668. 833-7668. And join them next Saturday after the news at 11 a.m. on News Talk KRMS Osage Beach.